ever wish there were more than one of you? Do you ever imagine that if you could only clone yourself, life would be more manageable, easier? I would like to explore two concepts of our time. It has crept up on us these past few decades, which, without much fanfare or suddenness, and even faster these past 3 years. But if we can take a step outside of ourselves for just a moment, we can look out into the landscape of our society and see that everything is just too much. Too difficult, too complicated, too overwhelming with too many roadblocks. Amen? If you watched the stellar Oscar-nominated film Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, then most likely you found some resonance, as I did, with the first section of that film, a look at the day in the life of Evelyn Kwan Yang, a first-generation immigrant trying to maintain her small business in the face of American bureaucracy, language, technological, and cultural barriers, plus cross-generational pressure on her, and it is all too much. It simply feels like everything is happening all at once. And I can reflect to you that the life of a working parent today is infinitely more complex, more expensive, and busier than any other time before. And something has got to give. Parenting bears little resemblance to how many of us were being raised 30 or more years ago. Inflation is higher, wages have not increased at the same rate. Life is infinitely more complex. Did you know summer camps cost thousands and thousands of dollars? Add pandemic complications, and we are thrown into the fast-paced overwhelm Ellen Yang is struggling under in the first section of the film, titled Everything. Now, most parents make constant jokes about wanting to clone themselves or wishing they had another third adult in the home to help manage everything. Those who can afford it talk about the need to outsource most of the parenting. Have you heard of that term, outsourcing? The parenting or the household responsibilities so they can focus on managing careers that are increasingly complex as we try to keep up with the pace of younger generations or high-speed technologies. And I haven't even begun to talk about single parenting in this day and age. The second concept of, there's too much of everything. So that's the first concept. The second concept I'd like to explore is really more of a question than a comment. What if there were more? What if there were more of you? What if there were more versions of you than the one who sits here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta right now? More versions of this reality, this life. Some of the multiverse philosophy is grounded in the Buddhist concept of non-attachment. And it's asking that question, do we spend too much time in painful nostalgia for a path not taken, for a life we did not live, a child who did survive and grow up, the marriage that survived and matured into lifelong partnership? Other concepts of world shaping need not be painful, but can be playful, a playful exploration of reality, imagination, and possibility. Often, in science fiction, the multiverse concept portrays a universe where only one small feature of that universe is a little bit different, a little bit off from the one we inhabit. If you have seen the film, I'll just say hot dog fingers, and we'll just move on. Sometimes in weeks such as the ones we are living through right now, I do wonder if there is a version of our universe without prison. I did not say without community accountability, but I mean with no more prison. I want to invite you for a moment into that universe. I mean, that's the only thing that would be different. No more prison. What would that universe involve? What would that require of us, communally, collectively? Would we still have police in that universe? Or would we have an entirely different organization of justice and accountability, one that we can really never imagine in this world that is so accepting of the prison system we do have? One of the most liberating parts of child rearing I have found is that often when you raise children, you are building an alternate universe without even realizing it. Has anyone else felt this way? I remember when my twin boys went to their very first hockey game, we were attending at the invitation of UUCA member Jack Pierce, who had some spare tickets and offered them to us. On the way to the hockey game, one of my kids suddenly did not want to wear his seatbelt. Without my full attention, I just offhandedly mentioned that if he refused to wear his seatbelt, or if he removed his seatbelt while the car was moving, then I could be sent to jail. "What's jail?" they asked. Look, not every parent can be ready and prepared for every parenting moment. I think traffic was bad. I don't know. I changed the subject. Until we got to the game. We were seated close to the penalty box. At some point early in the game, one of the players was put into the penalty box where he had to stay for a set number of moments. "Mom, is he in jail?" my son asked. Basically, yes," I replied. This brief exchange informed their concept of the American prison system for the next 2 years. In their universe, when someone, anyone, anywhere, broke a law, they were brought immediately to the Gas South Arena in Gwinnett County during hockey season, and they were put into the penalty box for a portion of the game commensurate to their crime. Until one day, years later, we were driving on Memorial, and they saw a huge looming building with tiny rectangular windows. "What's that?" they asked. "Oh, that's the jail," I replied. "That's where people have to go if they break the law." Minds blown. That's the jail? I thought it was the penalty box. All these years, you see, they had not known about the iron bars, the cafeteria, the visiting room. They didn't know about solitary confinement, the courtrooms, the exercise yard, the food. And by the way, what about you? If you have never been to prison, how do you know these things are real at all? How do you know what it's really like? Is it because you've seen a film? It's because you've gone on a tourist trip to Alcatraz? Are we sure prisons are what we believe them to be in reality? It's a part of our world we prefer not to dwell on, not to wonder about. And for someone who is on the inside, well, their mind is set on freedom. I once knew someone who spent some time in jail, not long, but she said she looked forward to every evening when she would go to sleep because in her dreams, she was always free. It was each morning she awoke to the nightmare. Someone whose body is incarcerated might meditate on another version of themselves, one where they are spending time with family, eating a home-cooked meal, or driving a car, or running in an open field, free. I mean, what if there is an alternate universe where a captive is actually a free person? Buddhists believe we have a tremendous amount of power to shape our internal reality. I mean, maybe the multiverse does not exist out there at all, but within. Maybe we are all the versions of ourselves we have ever been, like the Doctor in Doctor Who, a Time Lord who travels throughout time and space in a blue police call box. That's his time machine. You saw that on the screen, where he prevents imminent disaster, protecting the world, all the while being a constant student of humanity, of humanity's ways, and a student of the transforming power of love, above all powers, even time travel. You've heard that phrase, "You contain multitudes." It is the power that is found in the dialectical behavior therapy used by many psychologists and therapists. You are doing great in this life, and you could be better. See, you do not always have to be this version of you, who you are right now. You are not trapped. The version of you you have always been. You do not have to hold on so tightly to this version of yourself if it no longer serves you, if it no longer serves your dreams of how you want your life to be, if it no longer serves your relationships. You can deepen insight into yourself. You can transform this version of you. You can regenerate into another one, maybe one with greater insight, different flaws, maybe one who's a little more reflective, who's a little more empathetic, softer, a little happier, and a little more free. In that exceptionally strange and powerful film, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which you really must see if you haven't seen it yet, a daughter searches the multiverse to find a universe in which her mother can truly see and understand her. Isn't that how it can be in relationships? I mean, in one universe, someone can seem monstrous, impossibly powerful, and in another, they might just be a scared, vulnerable young person seeking love and acceptance, caught in an intergenerational pattern of cultural shame and oppression, migration and struggle that overwhelms them into cutoff, emotional cutoff. The layers of everything, of all these dynamics, of all these family patterns of culture and economics, it just seems to flatten everything into a two-dimensional way of thinking. So the mother will always say this, and the daughter will always respond in this way. But maybe there is a universe out there where monsters are vanquished, where superhuman powers of empathy and understanding can be unleashed and can bring all the players finally into 3 dimensions, or maybe even 4 dimensions, where people can finally see each other in all of their complexity, in all of their full dimensions. Maybe there is a universe where elders listen to young people and see that they don't have to be stuck, that they too can regenerate. You can always regenerate at any age. That's what the Doctor teaches us too. You can always become someone new. There is a long-running joke inside Doctor Who about his time machine, which looks like the police call box, that it is actually bigger on the inside, everyone says. Maybe it is you who is bigger on the inside. What if there are other versions of you, yous who maybe you have left behind, or a you who is yet undiscovered, even to yourself? What if there are more worlds other than this one? Worlds where you are more spacious in your relationships, maybe more playful, maybe rekindling a relationship that you had shut down years before. A you that is not stuck in old patterns, so old you can hardly see them at all anymore. It's just a sense that any other response seems impossible. And what if there is a universe without prison? What if there is a universe just like this one, with no police at all? A world and a universe where Tyree Nichols comes back home safely, safe and sound, where he's alive right now, still taking photos, still riding his skateboard, still hiking in the park. What if there is a world where Tortuguita remains safe in his tent, protecting our southern Atlanta watershed, building an experimental community, creating a whole new universe where people live off the land and their own communal sharing without police interference? This is just an invitation to you. What if? What if? So welcome to the multiverse. There is more love somewhere.